Welcome back! This is the second and final part of my A Look Into Jinx miniseries. In the last video, we summarized the story of Jinx's childhood and set up key points to delve into her psychology, because obviously a childhood like hers would leave anyone scarred for life. But a quick disclaimer before we hop into this video. Mental disorders are tragic. Although it's used as a plot point in Arcane and I'm dissecting it in this video, I felt the need to reiterate that. I have symptoms and so do many people you know. It's no joke. At the end of the day, these are fictional characters from League of Legends. I'm allowed a few videos over it. To recap, Powder was a little kid whose weapons never worked but wanted so desperately to help her siblings. She finally found one that worked and tried to utilize it to protect her family, and then, when she was excited to share her epic win with Vi, found out she killed her whole family, and now Vi confirms her greatest fears and she abandons her. That is Shakespearean tragedy. The trauma caused by a momentary lapse in judgment haunts her by personifying in hallucinations of Milo, her step-sibling who relentlessly taunted her for screwing up their missions. She's clearly not taking it well and the memories haunt her every move. She spends the rest of her life having to grapple with the fact that her decision to go against Vi's command led to the death of her entire family and certified her position as a Jinx in her own sister's words. And now, Jinx is a hot-headed and extremely impulsive 18-year-old. Her motor movements and facial movements are almost animalistic. She's emotional, though only ever really shows it on her own or while she's with her father figure, Silko. Her walls are constantly up when she's around other people. She's haunted by memories of the past in a way that makes it hard for her to discern reality from what's in her head. She takes out her pain through bullets, knowing that her aim is a skill that she could flaunt well. After 7 years, her brain has been hardwired to do two things without fail: shoot and kill. Working under Silko proves to be not her style.
You are supposed to guard the cargo.
But serves as a way for her to get out the pent-up sorrow that she's been feeling. She knows that her sister is still out there somewhere, but doesn't make it her top priority to find her. Instead, her priority is making Silko happy. That is, until she finds out that Vi is alive and looking for her. Savika, Silko's right-hand woman, is the first to find out that Violet is alive and out of prison thanks to Caitlyn, who's a part of the Piltover police brigade and looking to arrest Jinx. When Savika tells Jinx that her sister is still alive, she plays it off like she doesn't care, but later goes to a high point of the underground and lights a torch Vi had given her when they were younger, hoping that Vi would find her. Vi miraculously spots the torchlight and finds her, and although skeptical, Jinx finally puts down her walls and lets out real emotion as tears stream down her face as they embrace. Jinx questions if Vi is real, and Vi confirms she is, pulling her into a hug. Unfortunately, this tender moment is ruined rather quickly. Caitlyn is there as well, and Jinx's walls immediately go back up. She starts hearing voices and asks them to shut up, Caitlyn saying, "We didn't say anything," but Vi understanding it's in her head. The voices continue to rattle on, warning Jinx of oncoming danger. The firelights show up again, capture the blue crystal that Jinx had stolen for Silko, and kidnap Vi and Caitlyn. Once again, Jinx is alone. Now, after finding Vi once more, Jinx is even more rattled than she was before. Of course, she's happy to see her sister again, but she's incredibly envious of Caitlyn's being there as well, so much so that her emotions towards Vi becomes hostile and hateful. She wants Vi to prove to her that she loves Jinx more than she may love Caitlyn, but Vi can't even comprehend that her powder isn't there anymore. The question remains, what is going on in Jinx's head? You might say, easy, schizophrenia, but it isn't as black and white as schizophrenic or not. Here's what we know. Number 1, Jinx's hallucinations weren't evident until the traumatic events of episode 3. Number 2, Jinx relives the events of episode 3 and continues to hold feelings of helplessness that were there when the traumatic event took place. Number 3, Jinx's hallucinations can and have on multiple occasions warned her of oncoming danger. And number 4, there is never a point where she interacts with her visual hallucinations, so it's safe to assume that although Jinx's hallucinations are visual to us, the viewer, they're only auditory to her. We see Milo to understand that she envisions the voices as his. I was also going to add dissociation to one of the symptoms, but we only see her dissociate once after she does something really bad at the end of season 1, so I'm not going to add it as a symptom. Now, what qualifications do I have to diagnose her? Well, aside from currently working on a bachelor's in psychology degree, nothing. Good thing this is a fictional character. I don't know about you, but to me, the 4 qualities we've listed sounds a lot like post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. There's a lot of instances where Jinx is shown to display symptoms of PTSD.
Are you real? No, it was a mistake.
But psychotic symptoms like hallucinations aren't symptoms of PTSD and only affect 30% of those with it. However, the comorbidity of PTSD and another disorder does tend to result in auditory hallucinations. Schizophrenia doesn't typically form from traumatic events, although it makes it more likely for a child to develop it. It's more likely caused by biology and genes. We don't know much about Vi and Jinx's family history, but Vi's immediate understanding that Jinx was hearing voices might mean that she had seen it previously in a family member. In a TED Talk given by Eleanor Longman, she explains that the voice she was hearing as a result from schizophrenia actually helped her get correct answers on her exams. What does this have to do with Jinx? Well, number 3, her hallucinations have warned her of danger on multiple occasions. We see her hallucinations as scratches on the screen and sudden zoom-ins and zoom-outs on her character, most visibly in her reuniting with Vi right when the firelights show up and she's attacked by them. Something else of note is her resentment towards Caitlyn for just being near Vi. This could be a symptom of borderline personality disorder, an intense jealousy that causes a change of perception for the person that's being perceived. Seeing things in black and white is another symptom of borderline personality disorder, thinking that there's no way Vi could possibly love both Caitlyn and me at the same time in the same amount. But of course, that's just a symptom. More than anything, the guardian of a person can have more of an impact on mental health than events can. Being raised by a bad person can turn someone into a bad person. This partially explains how Vi and Jinx became such morally different individuals despite going through the same traumatic event. The lack of parental figures in her life led Vi to view Vander as her parental figure, and led Jinx to view Vi as hers, even calling her mom moments before being abandoned. The only actual adult she ends up viewing as her guardian is Silco. Vander taught, or tried to teach, Vi that violence isn't always the answer. He warned her that the path of vengeance she was on would only drag her down and cause more problems in the future. His final wish to her was that she continue to take care of Powder, to keep her family close. Unfortunately, she ignored the first message and kept the second. But by the time she had the chance to live out his wishes, it was too late. Silco had gotten her younger sister, and despite trying to go and save her, she was drugged and dragged to jail by Marcus. Vi, too, has flashbacks of times when they were younger, but it doesn't eat her away like Jinx's flashbacks do. Her time in jail was spent thinking about getting back to Powder and avenging her father figure by destroying Silco's manufacturing and killing his team. In a close encounter with death, Vi imagines Vander's spirit asking her to keep fighting, get back on her feet, and save her family. Jinx, on the other hand, didn't get as emotionally available of a father figure. First, her real parents were dead. Her mother figure, in her mind, abandoned her, although we know this not to be true. Finally, there's Silco. Silco took her in when she was at her lowest, gave her housing, food, trust, and ammunition. Despite everyone on his team saying that she was holding them back, he continued to give her as many chances as he could. He taught her about his past and how to deal with guilt and grief. He urged her to lose her Powder persona and fully embrace herself as Jinx, to discard the past and move forward as a new person. I've gotta give it to Silco for taking good care of Jinx, at least the best you can when you're the Heisenberg of Zaun. It's important to note that Jinx feels comfortable enough to tell Silco about her lingering fears. One thing that she was never able to do with Vander is open up. Despite her being troublesome to Silco's company and greatly interfering with how well his underground drug cartel functions, Silco never gave up on her and provided her with valuable lessons about pain and betrayal. Silco was the caretaker that Jinx needed, and in my opinion, he's not the worst dad ever. Jinx's traumatic past has made her become hostile and erratic, while Vi's traumatic past has made her overprotective and put rose-colored glasses over her eyes when she looks at Jinx. Both of them are thinking, that's my sister, I can't hurt her, but neither of them are really on the same page. But now you see two sides of the same coin. Vi's urge to protect what family she has left and avenge her father and the town they grew up in, and Jinx's need for approval from her father, even if that means destroying everything in sight. In Act 1, there's a scene where Vi's group has an intense fight with another group. As everyone's fighting, things are shown in slow motion, and in the middle of it all, huddled by a wall, is Powder just watching. Powder saw the death of her parents, the fights her siblings put themselves in, and the revolution that Vander led. Sure, Violet saw it too, but she was older and her brain was more developed, so she understood it better. Powder's brain developed with the brutality that she witnessed. Powder grew up seeing violence, but never participated in it. She normalizes violence without really understanding how to properly interact in it, which ends up manifesting in how she deals with conflict when she becomes Jinx. Powder's breakdown shows how unprepared she was to be on her own. She'd lost family before and tethered herself to Vi, so once Vi was gone, she needed someone else to tether herself to. Silco stepped up to the plate, and so her only focus became making him happy and proving that she wasn't a useless decoy. Throughout her entire childhood, she constantly felt inferior to her siblings. Even she knew that her machines didn't work, and the constant taunts by Milo made the fact hard to ignore. So when the last thing her sister said to her was that she was indeed a screw-up, she had one thing on her mind: I will prove them wrong. My weapons will work. I will be efficient in violence. I will be a useful teammate to whichever team I'm playing on.
We will show them all.
And that's what she did. She killed the firelights that entered Silko's ship. She stole the Hextech crystal from under Piltover's noses. She solved Jace's runes entirely on her own. She proved the ghost that haunted her wrong, but her trigger finger set her back again in the end once more, which makes the wait for season 2 all the more exhilarating. So, which is it? Schizophrenia, PTSD, borderline personality disorder, something else entirely? Well, who knows? It's not like any of these characters go to therapy, and we don't get the clearest look into Jinx's mind. But my best guess is comorbid PTSD and schizophrenia. There's a bigger story of Arcane that I didn't get to delve into, such as the counselors, including Mel, the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. These storylines overlap with Jace and Victor's storylines, which overlap with Caitlyn's storylines, which involves Vi's. So if you've made it to the very end and are still thinking that this show is worth delving into, I highly suggest that you do. I haven't spoiled everything. If there were a series that needed to be 10 seasons long with way too many characters and plot points, the League of Legends universe is the perfect setting for it to take place in. Move aside Game of Thrones, League of Legends has lore like you wouldn't believe. For now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll leave you with some words of wisdom. If you watched Arcane and you really enjoyed it, don't play League of Legends.